This is Module 9, Creating Original Catalog Records Using RDA for Physical Resources. We are going to spend the rest of the course getting some practice with creating catalog records. First, we're going to look at how to create catalog records for physical items such as books. To create an original catalog records, catalogers must first enter information in these areas using guidelines from RDA. So what you need is the call number, the manifestation identifier or standard number, the author, title, edition, information, the extent or physical description, the content type, material type, and carrier type, series statement if necessary, notes, and subject headings. And for help and guidance in using RDA to catalog items, I've created a cheat sheet for you, which is available in the Practice Cataloging Exercises area of Blackboard. So, step by step, here is a process that you can use as you're beginning to understand how to catalog. First of all, what you need to do is to decide what type of resource it is. What is the item? Is it a book, a DVD, a website? And what is the source of acquisition? Where did you get the book? And what is the type of resource? And then after you've figured out what kind of resources you're cataloging, you will know the tools that you need to use and also the information you need to provide. Step 2 is to transcribe the standard number. And that will typically be the ISBN number, the publisher number, or the International Standard Serial Number. And there is a mark tag for each of those numbers. Then the source of acquisition. Where did you get the item? Also, you need to understand the author information and enter that information in a particular format. So you need to look up the author information in the Library of Congress authorities, and that is last name, first name, and typically they have a birth and death date. And then you need to transcribe the title and statement of responsibility from the item itself. It's not from another catalog record for the item, it's actually from the item itself, and we will be using pictures of the items for you to transcribe the information. And the format that you follow to transcribe the title and statement of responsibility is title, space, colon, space, subtitle, space, slash, space, and then the statement of responsibility. After you do that, you transcribe the edition statement from the item. If there's no information on the edition, then leave this area blank. After you do the edition information, you include the publication information, and this is where you include the publication location, the publisher, and the publication or copyright date. Again, use the RDA cheat sheet to find abbreviations for states, and the format that you use is city, comma, state, space, colon, space, the publisher, comma, and the date. If it is a copyrighted material, if it states that it is copyrighted a particular date, then you use the copyright symbol. Otherwise, you just use the date. If it's a city such as New York or Chicago, you do not need to include the state information. But if it's something like Willimantic, Connecticut, you do need to include the state information and make sure you use the state abbreviations provided in the RDA cheat sheet. Then you include the series statement information if it's on the item, and you transcribe that information from the item itself. When you are determining what kind of item is it, you can also determine the mode of issuance. The mode of issuance, remember, is it a single unit? Is it a multi-part monograph? What is it? Typically, if it's a book, then it's a single unit mode of issuance. In step 8, you need to enter information about the extent of the item. So you need to determine the number of units, the carrier, the dimensions of the items, and the RDA cheat sheet has information about this. And typically the format is material designation, space, colon, space, characteristics, comma, characteristics, space, semicolon, space, and then the dimensions. If it's a book, then you do not need to list the material designation. That is the default material designation, but you do need to list the page number, the number of pages. Then in step 9, you determine the content, media, and carrier type. And so use the RDA cheat sheet to determine what type you are cataloging. General notes, typically you take general notes which include viewing dates and just specific notes about the format of the item. If it's a website, you do include viewing dates. And also in general notes, if the item is an imprint of another publication, you include that information. And then summary notes, you typically include a summary paragraph, and this is often taken from the Verso page, the inside page of the item. And I will typically provide you with this information so you don't have to make it up. Then for the topical subject headings, please use the Sears list for the topical subject headings. And then added entries you need to include if there's any other names you need to add, editors or illustrators, you need to include that information. You also need to add call number information. And when you do the subject headings using Sears, you will be able to determine the Dewey Decimal if it's a nonfiction item. You determine the cutter number from the author's last name, typically, and then apply the work mark and publication date. So that's a step-by-step process for creating a catalog record. And here is an example of a catalog record created with RDA. We have a work form that we typically use for these exercises, and you will be given blank work forms, and you need to then complete the information provided. So there's going to be information that is provided in picture format, and then additional information provided that will help you to catalog the item correctly. And then you use the various tools you need to use in order to catalog the items, such as the Sears subject heading list, the OCLC Cutter Sanborn 4-figure table, and the RDA cheat sheet. So let's take a stab at how to catalog Rich Girls by Victoria Ashton. First of all, sometimes you would think of this as The Confessions of a Teen Nanny, but that is the series name. So you have to do a little digging to find out what the title of this book is. But the title is Rich Girls by Victoria Ashton. We know it's a book. So we also have information about the ISBN number, and you include the ISBN information using no dashes. You include all of the information with no dashes. So the Library of Congress control number, we fill it in here. The ISBN number is here. And then here's the 13-digit ISBN number. Please remember to include no dashes. Then we have the source of acquisitions, HarperCollins. This information is typically would be provided for you. This is a fiction book, so creating the call number is very easy. It's FIC, the author's last name, and the publication date. So FIC Ashton 2006. Now, for the author, that's Victoria Ashton. So we need to check on that name. So what we're going to do is go to the Library of Congress personal name headings to decide what the uniform author's name shall be. So I'm gone to the authorities, and I'm searching the authorities. I'm searching the name authorities, Ashton, Victoria. And here is the authorized heading, and you see that she does not have a birth or death date, so we do not include that. But Ashton Victoria is the correct author name to put in the 100 tag, and every time you end a line for some of this bibliographic stuff, you include a period. So Ashton, comma, Victoria, period. Then the title and statement of responsibility. We know that it's Rich Girls by Victoria Ashton. So we do Rich Girls, space, / space, Victoria Ashton. If this, and then a period. You'll notice that it's Rich Girl, small case, but we know that we capitalized the first word in the title of statement of responsibility, so that's what we did here. Otherwise, we transcribed it completely from the item itself. And if this cover had Rich Girls by Victoria Ashton, then the statement of responsibility would have been by Victoria Ashton, but it's not on there, so we don't include it. It's Rich Girls, Victoria Ashton. Now we know down here with the additional information that this is a first edition, so we do first edition, period. We transcribe how they have listed the edition statement. If it was spelled out first edition, then that's what we would do. But in this case, it's this first edition with a number, so that's what we do. The publication information is also provided. We see that it was published in New York, and we know we do not need to include the state information because that is a widely known city. So New York, space, colon, space, HarperCollins, and we transcribe the publisher information directly from the information given, and there's no space there, so we don't put a space there. Then this item was copyright in 2006. So because it's copyrighted, we put the copyright symbol and 2006 with a period. Now this is part of a series. It's part of the Confessions of a Teen Nanny series. It's volume 2, and so we put that information in here, capitalizing only the first word in this statement. Then with a comma, the volume information and a period. The mode of issuance, because it's a book, it's a single unit, and it's part of a series, but it's really a stand-alone volume, and so that's why it's a single unit. And then we have the description information. It's a book, so we don't need to include the material designation, but it's 208 pages. Please remember we do not abbreviate the pages, and then space, semicolon, space, and the dimensions, 22 centimeters. If this had illustrations, it would have been 208 pages, space, colon, space, and then illustrations, or color illustrations, and then space, semicolon, space, 22 centimeters, but there's no illustrations in this text. The content type is text only. The media type is unmediated. You need no kind of reader in order to read this, just your eyes. The carrier type is volumes. That's the way the book is presented. And for general notes, because this is an imprint of HarperCollins, we do a parachute press book. Typically when you have an imprint, you put it in quotes like this. That's just a convention. The summary notes are provided, and you could just copy that and paste that in here. 2 teen nannies learn of the dangers of losing old boyfriends. Then we have the topical subject headings, and we're going to go to Sears in order to find an authorized subject heading for Confessions of a Teenage Nanny. So let's go to Sears in Wilson Web and browse for nannies. And we see that nannies is a subject heading. So for the first one, we do nannies with a form subject heading fiction. So it's nannies, / fiction, period. And then we are going to apply another subject heading related to dating. So we're going to browse for dating in Sears. And and we have dating social customs. So that's what we will include here, dating social customs, and then a form, subject heading of fiction, and then a period. And so that is how we do the subject headings. Now we also need, since this is a part of a series added entry, which is the 830 tag, Confessions of a Teen Nanny series. So this is how you catalog. This is how beginners will catalog. You can actually find this record in Library of Congress. I don't mind that you use records from other catalogs to help you catalog items, but you have to make sure that you are cataloging the same item, and the way you can do that is to look for the item by the ISBN number, and then you will know that you've cataloged the same item, and that's also a good way to check your information. Now, older records have used older standards, so if you see information that's different, for example, an older record might use an abbreviation for pages. That's because they've used AAC R2R. RDA does not use those abbreviations. So there will be some differences, but you can double check your records or get started in a record by entering the ISBN number of an item into the record and retrieve it from the Library of Congress. So, for example, for the Confessions of a Teen Nanny, we can go to Library of Congress Catalog and go to Basic Search and select do a number search, and then enter in the ISBN number of that title and find it. And its ISBN is 00600 77 5254 5254. Oh, 00600 77 5254. Oh, it doesn't have that record. Alright, let's try 978 78 0060 77 5254. Alright, so it has this one. Rich Girls, a Novel by Victoria Ashton. You see that there are some differences. But there's other information that's basically the same. The call number will be different because Library of Congress uses Library of Congress classification. But you can do a little bit of copy cataloging, and that will help make creating these records a little bit easier for you. Here is another example of a book that is part of a series that can be cataloged using RDA. Again, the first thing we do is ask ourselves, what is the item? What is the item? And we know that this item is a book. So therefore, we know that its mode of issuance is a single unit. We know that the content type will be text. There can be other content types such as images, but not in this particular item. So we take the standard number information from the inside page, and so we have cataloged the Library of Congress number and the ISBN numbers for this item. Again, please do not use the dashes, even though dashes are in here. There's a 10-digit ISBN and a 13-digit ISBN, and the correct tags for these is the 010 tag is LCCN, and the 020 tags are ISBN. Then the source of acquisition, in this case, is Library Unlimited. The author we look up in the Library of Congress authorities. We see that it's Arlene G. Taylor. And so let's go to the authorities. And search the names. And we see an authorized heading of Arlene G. Taylor, 1941. dash, and so that's what we will use. There's no period at the end of this because the dash is the terminal punctuation. Then here's the title information, the organization of information, space / space, Arlene G. Taylor, all transcribed from the cover itself. The edition information is also transcribed from the cover itself, second edition, period. Then the publication information is usually on the inside page, and so therefore it was published in New York by Libraries Unlimited with a copyright date of 2004. So it's New York, space, space, Library Unlimited, comma, space, copyright symbol, 2004, period. This is part of a series, and you'll find that on the inside page, and it's the Library and Information Science Text Series. The mode of issuance, as we stated before, is a single unit. The description. This is a book, so you need to include page numbers, so it's XVII, space, and then it needs to be 448 pages, space, semicolon, space, 26 centimeters, period. The content type is text. The media type is unmediated. It's a book. All you need are your eyes. The carrier type is a volume. It's a 1 volume. And the notes, often when you need to include notes, a 504 note is whether or not it includes bibliography and index. If it includes a bibliography, then you just say that includes bibliography. If it includes an index, you say include bibliography and index, and sometimes you include the page numbers for where those items are found. It just really depends. And then there's summary notes, and this information is often provided, but in this case, it's a review of how and why recorded information is organized. Now for topical subject headings, we're going to go to Sears, and we will find the main subject heading, which will determine our Dewey classification and call number, which we will enter up here. And since it's a local call number, it's an 090 tag. So we will go to Sears and browse for a book on information science. And there is a subject heading for that. We go to that. And we find the subject heading. And we select that. And we see that the Dewey classification is 020. So we go back to our item, and we put 020 for the Dewey classification. Now we need to do our cutter number, so we're going to go to the OCLC cutter tool. Make sure that we are using the Cutter Sanborn 4-figure table. We type in Taylor, and we see that the cutter number is T2381. And then let's not forget our work mark, which is the first significant word in the title, organization, so that's O, and then the publication date is 2004. So we have our main subject heading, information science, period, and we've created our local call number. Now we need to describe some other aspects of this item. On one hand, it is information science, and on the other hand, it's a textbook in library education. So let's do another subject browse. And look for library education. And library education is right here. Now you don't need to look up the Dewey class for this because you only get the Dewey class from your main subject heading. So we have two topical subject headings. Make sure you end those with a period. And then we need to do a series added entry. If you have a series statement here, you need to do a series added entry here. Library and Information Science Text Series, period. So that is how you catalog book information. Those are two examples. We will be getting lots and lots more practice doing this. Information for RDA is available from this site, and also you can review the RDA cheat sheet for more information, and then start using some of these tools that we have, such as the Sears subject headings, the OCLC Cutter-Sanborn four-figure table, the Library of Congress authorities, personal name heading, so you get some familiarity with using these different tools. And again, there's information in the module folders, and post your questions to the discussion board.